Spacey Sims, and we're back with more Hakuoki Blossoms and Kazama's route. Yeah, we're in chapter 2. We've already had one of our choices. I'm starting to wonder now. I guess we'll see how it goes. I think chapter 1 is short in some of their paths, but maybe because we don't have as many endings, maybe we'll only get 4 parts out of his instead of 5. I kind of figured his part would actually, with all the bad endings, blah blah blah, be 6 parts because I figured they would put more effort into like his and like Hijikata's would be a little bit longer, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know. The last chapter sometimes seems to be kind of long, so I don't know. But the one with the endings, if we don't get the endings in with the last chapter and we have to do a whole part for it, it's going to be really fucking short, but we'll see what happens. So by the time we returned back to Ito, the sun had set, dripping into the orange pool of the western horizon. Kazama led us to a secluded inn, adorned with modest decorations and lighting, as our lodgings for evening, when, lo and behold, hey, that's where we stayed with like the back. Hey, we stayed here a couple times. I like this place. I've been here before. Amagiri was there waiting for us. I'm glad to see you made it back safely. So what's she doing there behind you? Hey! You act like I'm vermin. I'm a rare female demon who's useless. Stop it. Treat me better. Are you acting coy? Do I have to spell it out for you, or are you going to quit being an idiot? Enough horseplay. Tell me, what have you uncovered? Well, depends on how much time you've got. There's quite a bit to report. Amagiri answered coolly, glancing over at me after he spoke. Was he implying that I needed to step out? And just as I prepared my things to leave the room, this girl, she's inherited Yukimura blood. She has the right to listen to our conversation. It's up to her, that is, if she has the stomach for it. In typical fashion, Kazama was speaking about me in a dismissive manner, but I took it to mean that he had been respectfully acknowledging my agency in the decision to stay. No matter what it was that Amagiri had to say, if it had anything to do with Father and Kaoru, then I had an obligation to stay. I'm ready for whatever it is you have to say. Please allow me to remain here. Amagiri nodded deeply, taking a deep breath as he began his report. In regards to Kaoru Nagumo, he appears to be in Kofu, residing with warriors from the Tosa domain. To make matters worse, he has an entourage. Sorry, I got something stuck in my tooth. Of Kodo's enhanced furies with him as well. Kofu, if I remembered correctly, that's where the Shinsengumi had been headed. No, you remembered correctly. Because I've gone there with them plenty of times. So yeah, no. I know that she doesn't know, but I do. I will hear something jammed in my tooth. Hold on. It was really uncomfortable. Wow. Anyway. No, that was me being sarcastic with her. Yeah, no, no, that's where they're going. God, it's like she doesn't remember any of the other paths. Jesus, get with the program. I'm kidding, obviously. If Kaoru was leading a battalion of Furies along with members of the Imperial Army to wherever the Shinsengumi was marching towards, then it means... It looks like the Shinsengumi is going to have their hands tied with these Furies in Kofu, aren't they? Yes, exactly. I couldn't get my body to stop shaking with worry. Would everyone be safe? During the Battle of Toba-Fushimi, the Shinsengumi suffered numerous casualties, and on top of that, Okita, to my knowledge, had still been bedridden and was in no suitable condition to wield his sword on the battlefield, according to Dr. Masumoto. Negotiations between the Imperial Army and the Shogunate are ongoing at Ito Castle. If their talks start getting a little messy, then Ito will bathe in an ocean of fire. Ergo, the perfect opportunity for Kodo and Kaoru to unleash their sick beasts into the sea of blood. Yes, I assume they'll organize their furies and march them back to Ito as soon as possible. But then again, there aren't too many areas in which they could hide their large, devilish army. The Nakumo clan is affiliated with the Tosa domain, are they not? How oddly coincidental. For now, keep a watchful eye on their movements. As I listened to their conversation, an urgent feeling of panic raged inside of me, and I realized that I was suddenly drenched in cold sweat. Ito could be bathing in an ocean of fire. If Kazama's prediction comes true, then Ito's innocent people will be helpless against the vicious tide of furies, eager for the taste of blood. Everything was coming together, and it horrified me to imagine sacrificing an entire city for their purpose of feeding this army's insatiable hunger. It was a violation of the world's sacred order, and we were running out of time. And now that we're on the subject, I'm curious about what the Choshu are planning as well. I plan on warning the Satsuma officials about this matter, of course, but if Kodo and Kaoru make pawns out of the Choshu, then it'll be all for naught. We'll have to. We will have Shiranui gain an audience with them. I shall alert him at once. However, I've seen little of him since we last met at Yase Village. Since then, he has been a ghost, even on the battlefield. Perhaps he has grown tired of playing a part in this sick game. Amagiri left us with that, bowing lightly as he exited the room. Kazama stood still for a moment before turning to me. I'm stepping out. Get some rest. Oh, okay. Please be careful. Unless you're confronted with an emergency, you're forbidden from leaving this building. Otherwise, we might have a repeat incident of earlier today. Okay, I understand. Kazama lingered for a moment longer, gazing into my eyes to assure himself. Then he flew out the door. Oh god, don't be fucking stupid and leave. Just do what the man tells you. Do what your man tells you! In this instance, because, danger-prone Daphne over here is going to get herself in trouble. I went to my room and prepared my bedding. As soon as my head hit my pillow, I fell fast asleep, thank God. In my deep, dreary slumber, a dream came to me. Deep, dreary dream. The setting was my childhood home, and my arm was being pulled by someone. Through a muted, white haze, I watched smoke billowing into the sky, tall flames surrounding us at every turn as we tried to flee hastily. Spacey! Spacey! This way! A familiar figure, not too far from my own age, your exact age, was leading me somewhere by the hand. The burning village evoked a strange feeling of déjà vu. Beside us was a small hill where I'd often pick flowers, and the pen that housed our livestock. Those places, like the memories attached to them, were becoming reduced to ash and cinder, and from the distance I heard shrieks of terror. What was going on? Who could possibly do such a thing? Were father and mother safe? No. As my mind swirled with anxiety... Damn it! The fire's spread here too! Flames blocked our path, encroaching toward us slowly. Just then... Kaoru! Spacey! This way! A voice frantically called out to us. Although his identity was unclear, I understood him to be one of my relatives. Quickly! Grab a hold of me! The flames will catch up to us! I did as he instructed, flinging my arm at him before the fire reached where we had been standing. Rushing into his arms, the man led us into the forest at the outskirts of the village, where our breathing became easier away from the thick, smoky haze. We've run far enough. I don't think the fire can reach us here. We should be safe. I know it's... what's his name? But it's Kodo, but, I'm not giving him the normal voice. This is his younger voice, okay? Uncle, why did this happen? Where's our father? And mother, too? Suddenly I realized who this boy was. No. Don't show him to me like he looks right fucking now. This was like we were babies. It was my twin brother, Kaoru. That fire was becoming too dangerous for us to stay behind. Oh, we had no choice but to leave them. And this man was... unforgivable. The humans have cruelly summoned calamity and misfortune to our people. Are they punishing us for refusing to overthrow the shogunate? They light our families, our homes on fire for wanting peace. We live in solitude. On that night, it wasn't our father, but a distant relative who saved us from being burned alive. He later assumed the role of my father and raised me, Kodo Yukimura. I awoke with extreme fright, tears streaming down my face hysterically. I'm assuming when they say uncle, they just mean it's someone who's like an uncle to you, right? Because they couldn't actually be a blood uncle because, right, his generations of his family, blah, 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 mating with humans, blah, blah, blah. He's, his blood's all, weak and not demony. He's closer to human than demon, right? He couldn't possibly be related to one of our parents because how could we have pure demon blood if one of our parents was even half human? You know what I mean? We'd still be a mudblood. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So like when we're saying uncle, it has to be like he's like a family friend or like close to us, like an uncle, but not a blood relative. There's no way he could be. I don't know. I mean, unless it's through marriage, like he married our aunt, but like nobody seems to know where the hell she is or give a crap. And he doesn't seem the marrying type. You know what I mean? Because, well, then again, before he hated humans, maybe, but I don't know. I woke with extreme fright, tears streaming down my face hysterically. For whatever reason, my mind needlessly exhumed a memory that was buried and suppressed years ago. Now it was all coming back to me. That fateful night, humans mysteriously appeared and set fire to our village and sadistically murdered dozens of my people, including my beloved parents, who you haven't remembered for like over 10 years, probably, at least minimum. Or so Kaoru later told me. In a selfish grab for power, they wiped our village from existence and attempted to absorb our lands. Father made one thing abundantly clear. Continuing to allow humans to rule barbarically and further their destructive tendencies, it would only produce more orphans like Kaoru and myself. Although I was opposed to the idea of using Furies of all things as a force to counteract mankind's penchant for destruction, at the same time, there was a method to the madness, and I couldn't bear to think about how they coped with the memory of our people's genocide. A knock at my door snapped me out of my stupor. Pardon me for intruding. Are you awake in there? I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but from the other side of the door, I heard the inn's attendant calling out to me. Oh, yes. What is it? I have a guest asking for you. May I send him in? A guest? Who could it be? One moment, please. I'm a little indisposed. Just let me arrange my bedding. After I tidied up my room, the attendant slid open the door and ushered in my surprise visitor. Hope it's not your brother. Oh, what's this? Is it just you here? Shiranui, what are you doing here? Well, Amagiri summoned me, so I came at once, but looks like I'm a little late. It would appear so. Judging from our previous conversation, Amagiri was tirelessly hopping between locations to gather intelligence for Kazama. However, I believe Kazama will be returning momentarily. That's so. Guess it wouldn't hurt for me to stick around and kill some time then. Shiranui studied my room meticulously and, eyeing a spot to sit, plopped on the floor quietly. I watched nervously as he pulled his pistol from its holster and inspected it carefully for any smudges. What is it? Is it true that Ito might be the center of the next battle soon? I'm worried about something Kazama said, that it might be engulfed in flames soon. As I expressed my concern, Shiranui suddenly froze, holding his pistol still in his hand. Well, I'd be lying if I told you there wasn't a high chance of that happening. No. But aren't all of the remaining Shogunate leaders and soldiers still stationed in Ito? How can they just let that happen? Do you truly believe that the people of Ito will simply roll over to the Imperial Army like that? The vivid memory of my village consumed by wildfire struck me once more. If Ito were similarly engulfed in flames, then hundreds of people would assuredly burn to their deaths. Well, they're not going to burn to life. This time, there wouldn't be only 2 orphans. Hundreds, no, thousands of children would be displaced, if not worse. I was sure of it. I was going to be like, oh, honey, thousands of children won't be displaced. Most of those kids are probably going to die too, which is sad as fuck, but I like the fact that she's thinking positive that they'll actually be alive to be orphans and not die with their parents, which is fucking awful. Calm down. As we speak, the Satsuma and Shogunate leaders are having a cup of tea and discussing this whole thing at Ito Castle. Luckily, we were able to weasel the Shinsengumi as far away from Ito as possible, too. Huh? I didn't grasp the significance behind what Shiranui had said at first, and I prompted him to clarify. What do you mean by weaseling the Shinsengumi as far away from Ito as possible? Well, snap. Oh, did they not tell you? Shogunate has no intention to let Ito fall under siege or be lit ablaze. Instead, those dumbasses fell right into our laps, and we're going to teach them a lesson as far away from here as we can drag them. The Imperial Nationalist Party has got a score to settle with the Shinsengumi. Shiranui revealed that the Shogunate hadn't sent the Shinsengumi on a mission to tackle Imperial Army forces in Kofu after all. Rather, Shogunate offered them as collateral, far away from the negotiating table with the Satsuma and Choshu, while they discussed terms of surrender. That hurts. Like, oh snap, that hurts so bad. Yeah, we'll send them. Oh no. Oh, that's so mean. Instead of battling Imperial forces, a more sinister threat awaited them in Kofu. The Furies. As I put the pieces together, I nearly fainted. I thought I heard a familiar voice in here. Nice to see you, Shiranui. Now look so surprised. You're the reason I'm here. Let's cut to the chase. I'm a busy man, you know. There are some questions I need answering. I won't take much of your time. Kazama recounted our past weeks to Shiranui. He mentioned encountering my father in Ito and describing in great detail Father's plot to gather blood in order to feed his army of Furies. The most crucial detail, however, was Father's proposition to use this army of Furies to manipulate the Choshu into doing his bidding. I see. Got it. Well, what say you? Do you expect the Choshu to fall prey to his little schemes? As much as I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, Omura is currently the commander of Choshu's army. He's crazier than Takasugi ever was. Masujiro Omura, a former doctor who becomes instrumental in leading the Choshu domain to victory against the Shogunate. What do you mean by crazy? The guy's a maniac when it comes to strategy. He is undefeated in battle, and everything he knows, he's learned from Western tactics. History has seen men of his kind in the past, and you can expect to see more in the future. They're architects shaping the world with their destruction. Wait, so is he the one in charge of the army during the second Choshu expedition? Choshu expedition. It refers to the two separate attempts made by the Shogunate to subjugate the Choshu domain for its insolence. Sadly, both campaigns ended in failure. You got it. It was Omura and Takasugi, whom I was guarding at the time. During the second Choshu expedition, the Shogunate commanded an army of over 150,000 soldiers at their command, but Choshu leaders were craftier than the Shogunate expected, using the terrain to their advantage and forcing the Shogunate soldiers to retreat. If the one responsible for that decisive victory were now at the helm of the Choshu's entire army, then would the Shogunate soldiers, much less the Shinsengumi, have any chance of survival? No. If I know Omura, then I don't see him rejecting the offer to use Furies if it guarantees the Imperial Army's victory. Think about it. The Sassumas have a lot to gain from embarrassing the Shogunate in battle, too. At one point, the Satsuma and Choshu domains were locked in a fierce rivalry of their own. Their alliance may have been predicated by their shared interest in dismantling the Tokugawa clan, but sooner or later, there could only be room for one. It's like the Highlander. Gotta take the heads. What a circus. The only thing Kazama hated more than mankind was its greed, and he made no secret of his disdain. Shiranui, please. You must convince the Choshu not to use the Furies. Neither humans nor demons have the means of handling them if they start outnumbering us. Even if they win the war, it's only a matter of time until they're next on the chopping block. I know. To be honest, the very notion of the Choshu requiring outside intervention of any kind offends me. Leave the rest to me. Can we depend on you, Shiranui? Learn to trust your comrades, you bastard. That's it then? That's all you have to say? Guess I'll be on my way now. Shiranui delicately placed his pistol back into its holster, smirking wryly as he stood up from his sitting position. Without another word, he sauntered out of the room. A few days later, we received word that the tense negotiations between leaders of the Satsuma, Choshu, and the Shogunate had concluded. Hoping to avoid another devastating loss, the Shogunate surrendered control of Ito Castle over to the Satsuma Choshu. To my relief, Ito and its citizens were safe from a catastrophic battle, unlike Kyoto, which had been ravaged by the Battle of Toba Fushimi. Unfortunately, word of the surrender came late after the Shinsengumi had already departed Ito for Kofu. Right? On purpose. Let's send him out there to die and, then we don't have to deal with him. I later learned that neither Nagakura nor Harada were counted among the Shinsengumi's ranks. As for... wait. It was when they came back. that they weren't considered part of their ranks. You know what I mean? They didn't leave before Kofu, they left after, so that's weird, but whatever. As for Okita, he too was absent from the convoy, as his condition worsened to the point that merely holding his sword was enough to exhaust him. My curiosity was driving me up the wall, and I wanted to learn more about their status, but Dr. Masumoto was occupied with the tumultuous political climate, and letters were becoming fewer and farther between. Around the time of our correspondence, rumors that Kondo had surrendered to the Imperial Army reverberated all around Edo. May 1868. It was a brisk springtime evening. Listen carefully. Kodo has emerged out of hiding in the Tosa Domain's residence and is mobilizing. He is. They're heading to Ueno, I bet. Logic would dictate yes. It is the only locale near Edo with a dense enough population to feed his massive army. Their foolish plan to thrust Edo into chaos hadn't panned out as expected. Surely they're reaching their point of desperation. Ueno was a mountainous region slightly north of Edo. The Shogi company was assembled by one of the former Bakushin who recognized Ueno's potential as a strategic location against the Imperial Army. It was heavily populated, with civilians and soldiers alike, making it the ideal location to feed thousands of Furies at once. Since this directly concerns you as a Yukimura, do you intend on accompanying us? Kazama's eyes flickered impertinently, almost as if he were testing me. My mind was already set, however. I'm going. Please allow me to join you. Kazama squinted in response, staring blankly at me for a brief moment before relenting. Very well. His curt response was all I needed. When Kazama and I last spoke about matters concerning my father, he was dead set on prohibiting me from getting involved, but because the shogunate had surrendered their control of Edo Castle, I wasn't worried about the looming fear of an all-out war breaking out. If Furies could no longer be used as leverage in shifting the tide of an approaching civil war, then perhaps my father would see the error in his ways once he realized how little the Imperial Army values his experiments. I wrestled with these thoughts as Kazama continued. I assume he's marching half of his Furies to Ueno while we speak. Shiranui would already be in Ueno with a group of Choshu soldiers. Do you expect Shiranui to fall victim to that pathetic army of fakes? We will reconvene with him as soon as our business with Kodo is concluded. Okay, understood. Edo was blessed with a hushed calm as its residents slept peacefully in the dead of night. We snuck carefully through the city, arriving at the Tosa Domain's building of residence. It was eerily silent around the building's perimeter, almost as if the building was long since abandoned. I felt inexplicably anxious when wind chimes hanging beside the building's entrance hauntingly rang. I detect no one nearby. Have they already left for Ueno? Oh, Kazama, look! Over there! Batman! A shadow crawled on the building's wall. There's no way I could have mistaken it. I squinted to make out his face in the darkness. Our presence must have alerted his detection, and he leapt down from the building to greet us. Ugh, this twat. Is it wrong that I was like, is it Yamazaki? Because he's like a spider ninja and maybe he didn't die in this path? And he'd be like, hey, what's up? And you'd be like, yay! No, we're not going to see any of our Shinsengumi boys probably in this, which is going to be sad. But ugh, this dick.
Hey, it's been a while. I've been waiting patiently for you, little sister.
Kaoru, no! Kaoru, no! Bad! Smack him on the nose with a newspaper. Bad. Bad.
I've already spoken with the old man. He informed me that he had generously offered you the chance to join us, but he got in the way of that or something. And don't you think it's rude of you to interrupt an emotional reunion between a father and his daughter?
Kazama kept his guard raised, glaring at Kaoru without humoring his sarcasm.
So, why are all of you here? If you've brought these two as your bodyguards, it can't mean anything good.
I wasn't sure if either Kaoru or father were interested in hearing me out, but if I hadn't taken the chance to speak with them first, Kazama would have murdered them without question. Moreover, no matter what happens, I had a responsibility to talk some sense into them, to attempt, because you're not gonna. Kazama, please give me one more chance to convince them. Without moving his head, Kazama shifted his line of sight at me begrudgingly, taking his time to decide. As you wish. Thank you. I felt a huge pang of relief, and after thanking Kazama, I turned to face Kyoru. He's like, if I say no, she's gonna be mad at me. And if I say yes, I might get to hit that. So, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I want you and Father to hear me out before this goes any further. Kyoru gazed at me coldly, pursing his lips as he thought about how to proceed.
I see. I think I have an idea of what you're going to say. Why don't all of you come inside? Koto's been expecting you.
We've been expecting you. Spacey, at last you've come. Father, although I made myself aware of all the horrible things my father had done over the past few years, every time that he greeted me with his jovial smile, it shattered me to 1,000 pieces. Even if we weren't related by blood, he dedicated his life to raising me like a daughter. As the guilt trickled in, I had to snap myself out of it, straightening my back as I spoke to them. I dreamt something. It wasn't much, but it was a memory from my childhood. I witnessed a vision of our village burning, and I recalled how the humans destroyed our way of life. Both of you were there to rescue me, and together we escaped the fire by fleeing desperately into the forest. I can only begin to imagine how painful it must have been, my child, to remember such atrocities. I don't think I'm doing his voice right. I don't know what happened to me. You know what? Whatever. I say this every time. I'm like, I can't do the voices anymore. I shook my head at him. It's not about me. I know the two of you have been mulling this trauma over for far longer than I have. After all that's happened, I can't blame either of you for holding onto your grudge against humanity for as long as you have.
Then,
Kaoru attempted to interject, and I could have sworn I watched his expression begin to soften. Keeping all of this in mind, however, I implore the two of you not to unleash your fury army. As soon as I mentioned the last part, both Kaoru and Father froze in shock. Luckily, we were able to avoid the terrors of war in Edo. Why do either of you seek to inflict pain on others? Haven't they suffered enough? Haven't we all suffered enough? I'm sure neither of you want to impose the same nightmarish fate that we've had to endure, do you? Spacey. A forlorn expression covered Father's face. Kaoru, on the other hand, was less sympathetic to the point I was trying to make.
don't break your foot getting off that high horse. That must be nice living a privileged life, isn't it?
God, fucking Kazama, kill him. Huh?
After our village burned down, do you know how I had to struggle living in Tosa with the Nagumo clan? Because I can't bear children, and they treated me like I was less than dirt. I was lucky they kept me alive.
I wouldn't call that luck. Oh, you might be lucky they kept you alive, but the rest of us are kind of like fucking assholes.
They broke me again and again until I was nothing. At one point, I contemplated ending it all.
I wish you had.
Thanks to them, I realized humans and demons were no different. Power corrupts all.
Listening to Kaoru made my heart sink. All that time I was living peacefully with Father and Ito. Kaoru was forced to endure a miserable life without love or compassion. It explains so much. While I sympathize with his terrible circumstances, what do you want, brother? Do you want to use the Furies to rebuild the Yukimura clan? Is that what you really want?
Isn't it obvious? It's my duty. I cannot let our parents down by letting our name hang in disgrace. I refuse to let those sons of bitches destroy our legacy without putting up a fight. The Nagumo clan abused me, and the demons in the west turned a blind eye to our suffering and let our people scatter with the wind.
Gosh, your people outside.
How do you expect me to forgive them for spitting on us when we begged for their help? Doesn't that insult what it means to be a demon?
Each word Kaoru spoke broke off another piece of my heart as his festering resentment came to light. Maybe I judged him incorrectly, and the only thing that could soothe his restless soul was if he exacted revenge on every person that ever harmed or wronged him in the past. Perhaps there was no other way. Kazama stepped in front of me all of a sudden. He hadn't even looked at me as he spoke. Step back. Kazama! Just as I feared, the time had finally come. Well, no, not yet. Not to chapter 4. Kazama decided he'd had enough and was moving towards killing Father and Kaoru if they chose not to cooperate. Girl, don't get in his way. Kazama, I told you to step back. He barked at me sternly and I did as he commanded. He reached his hand toward the hilt of his katana. In one swift movement, it had been unsheathed. Kazama held it comfortably in his palm as if it were an extension of his own arm, and like a dragon's scale, it sparkled, illuminating the room. Yasusuna, okay.
Yasusuna's Demon Slayer, eh?
Yasusuna's Demon Slayer, a sword that presumably only exists in legends. It's fucking Japanese Excalibur. Having been forged sometime during the Heian period by Master Yasusuna. Part of its legend comes from the tale that it slayed Shutendojo? Shutendojo. Okay. Ruler of all demons. I read that it's Demon Slayer, right? Did I read that? I don't know why in my brain I was thinking Dragon Slayer. And then I'm like, why would I be talking about a sword Dragon Slayer when it's slaying demons? Wow, my brain is a problem. Holy shit. Okay.
Since that weapon was forged to kill demons, it must mean you're really going for us, aren't you?
Of course.
And it looks like I'll have to return the favor.
I'm sorry, no. I'm not gonna believe for a fucking second if Kaoru has any fucking one-up on fucking Kazama. There's no fucking way. This should be over in a heartbeat. Kaoru slipped his hand into his pocket, drawing from it a crystalline vial. Oh no! It was... Is that the water of life? Why would Kaoru be using that? No! The dishonored bastard of a demon clan has to forfeit his life in order to become a fake. Is that it? Here I thought you could stoop no lower.
It appears we disagree on what constitutes honor. No matter what happens, I cannot allow you to kill me here.
Brother, no! Taking a split second to decide, I sprinted towards Kaoru to snatch the serum away from him, but...
Don't touch me!
As I got within an arm's reach, Kaoru extended his hand backward and slapped me, crumpling me to the floor. The girl can't even take a slap. I was too late. Also, fuck you. You want me to be a broodmare and you're gonna beat me? Wow. You know I'm delicate. I could have just shattered to pieces. Female demons, very delicate. Kaoru gripped his chest as he moaned in anguish. I hope it kills him. As he let the vial slip from his hand, it shattered once it landed. Just then. I don't understand why everybody hates Sanin. Like, your hate should be on this douche. You should hate Kaoru more than anything. Nobody should hate Sanin. Keep calm and love Sanin. I witnessed what appeared to be a white flame. Kaoru's eyes suddenly turned gold, and similar to what happened to Father, horns began to protrude from his wide forehead. My twin brother, Kaoru Nagumo, had drunk the water of life and become a fury. You know, Kodo made it sound like he already did this, so I don't know.
See? Now it's a fair fight, isn't it, Chikage Kazama?
No, because he's still better than you. There's no way he's going to lose to you. There's no way. I'm sorry. I don't believe... Even with taking that, I don't think Kazama would even be close to being bested by him. You're a lost boy. Oh, you are lost, boy. Kazama muttered coolly under his breath. All of a sudden, an aura emanated from Kazama as his body shapeshifted, revealing his true demon self. Both of them radiated chakra-like spheres of energy, glowing white-hot as they charged at one another. The thunderous clang of their blades echoed deafeningly around the room. Gah! Their agility was superhuman. Well, making it difficult to track the paths of their swords as they rapidly traded a flurry of unrelenting attacks. I just think their agility is superhuman. My god, no way, it's like they're demons or something. Dumbass. She's such an idiot.
I see you. You're not quick enough for me.
No, he's quicker than you. There's no way Kazama should be bested by this little twat waffle.
At this rate, I'll crush you in minutes.
Sparks flew as their sharp swords cracked into one another, and neither was willing to let up steam. Kodo, you're mine. Let's go. Amagiri called out to Father, dropping into a low fighting stance, but Father seemed unamused.
There's no need to rush things. In fact, since we're all together, perhaps you would be better off warming up with my beloved children.
That should be the only thing that fucks up Kazama, is just having 5 bazillion Furies. Father put 2 fingers to his mouth and whistled. From behind us, I heard the ominous creak of doors all sliding open. Within seconds, our worst fears were realized. Blood. 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 Give me blood. I like doing the Fury's voices. I don't know why. We suddenly found ourselves surrounded by a bevy of red eyes, all eagerly looking to feast upon us. I think it's just because I can be an asshole and be kind of derpy when I do their voices. It's fun. Amagiri was the first to react, throwing fast kicks and punches at the Furies funneling into the room, but...
Won't work on us. Doesn't hurt.
Not even Amagiri's exceptional martial arts technique could subdue the incoming Furies, and they closed in without flinching. You bastards! Amagiri had the advantage of battle-worn experience and superior physical strength, but his attacks did little to stunt their vicious fervor, and soon dozens of Furies had us cornered. Amagiri! Kazama! Fearing for their safety, I grabbed a hold of my Kodachi in order to join them in the fighting. Suddenly, however, I was taken from behind.
Spacey, let's leave while we can.
Father!
No matter what anyone else claims, you're a descendant of the Yukomura clan. Your parents would have wanted you to join us more than anything.
I don't believe that. No! Let me go! I attempted to wrestle myself out of Father's grip, but he forcibly pinned me with both of his arms, making it nearly impossible for me to break free. No, they wouldn't. They would have married me off to Kazama, which is what you wanted in other paths. But, like, I mean, God, pick a lane, Kodo. Father, what is it you plan on doing with me after you take me away? Out of context, some of these lines that she says to her dad sound really inappropriate, or just disturb me. Don't tell me it's true. Don't tell me you expect me to bear children with Furies.
Demons of Japan and demons of the West. 2 species that have never been acquainted will now come together as one, and from their union shall produce the strongest demons ever to exist.
I'd rather marry Kazama. And he's like, wow, ouch, that hurts. But I mean, it's because I love you.
This, Spacey, is your destiny.
Well, you make it sound so noble and not creepy, disgusting, and creepy at all.
I believe this is what you were born to do.
Said that, and just, did you, okay, the feeling you got when
this is what you were born to do,
and you're like, be a broodmare and just pop out babies for your fucking selfish whim. And the collective sigh of women everywhere, like, yeah, that's pretty much what women were throughout history, so. Okay, that's where we're going. Like, I mean, at some point in history, in this case, it's creepy because they're demon fury things and, like, whatever, but I mean, it's just a slightly exaggerated version of, like, all of reality ever. Father's words paralyzed me with fear, and at first, nothing he said was registering. Is this what he had planned for me when he took me in as a daughter? If all went according to his plan, then the casualties wouldn't be limited to our country alone. This affliction could potentially spread around the world, devastating countless innocent lives. I couldn't bear to let my life amount to this, nor could I stand to let myself be attached to such a horrifying crime against humanity. I must end my life. My eyes flicked down to my waist, and I struggled in Father's arms to try grabbing my Kodachi, but with both my arms still pinned, I had no hope of unsheathing it.
What are you doing? Don't do anything reckless.
No, I'm doing something smart. Father attempted to pry the Kodachi away from me, but it proved difficult as I jostled myself in his arms. Kodo, let her go. Both Father and I became still as we watched Kazama saunter toward us coldly.
What? How are you here so soon? Don't tell me Kaoru lost to the likes of you.
Yeah, Kaoru's a little twat waffle who had to take a serum. Kazama's a real man, a warrior, and a demon. Go fuck yourself, dad and stupid douchey brother.
Are you deaf, old man?
I said, let her go. Father smirked, continuing to ignore his command. Kazama shifted his eyes at me momentarily, looking at me intently as he motioned with his lips. It was almost as if he were attempting to express his desire to kill Father, whether or not I approved. I nodded. I tried so many times to get through to Father. I spilled my heart out, and still he refused to listen. At some point, I had to accept the truth. Our paths had diverged, and it was unlikely that we would ever see eye to eye about the atrocities he threatened to commit. Okay, so you know what? This chapter is longer So chapter 1 was short. So we might actually get the standard, like, 5 parts out of this. So cool. Or longer. I don't know. Unfortunately, it left us with no other choice. I looked at Kazama in the eye, and without another second to hesitate, I nodded firmly. Judging by his wry smile, it seemed Kazama understood everything. He's like, thank God. Oh, baby, it's so hot when you let me kill your dad. It's like, fucked up. Death is a messy affair, and this certainly is no exception. Shut your eyes, girl. I appreciated Kazama's curt sentiment. No, I'm one of them. I too am a demon of the Yukimura clan. The least I could do is dignify him with the honor of watching his final moments. And he's like, look, we're having this conversation. He's like, wait, what? You've got a stronger heart than I thought, kid. Just don't blame me if this haunts you forever. Kazama seemed certain about it, but this was something I knew I couldn't regret. If this was the fate of Kaoru, father, and myself, then so ends the legacy of the Yukimura clan. Our shared heritage meant that they would always be connected to me, and I to them. Our paths were interwoven, and their deaths were on my hands. Okay, Kodo, have you made peace with yourself? Luckily for you, I'm merciful. I promise this won't hurt. Well, not too much. Kazama raised his sword arm high above father's head and stepped within inches of his face. Kya! Panic suddenly set in for father, realizing there would be no escape from this execution until... Father's eyes glowed menacingly, and he focused his fury powers within himself, causing the ground to rumble underneath our feet. Father broke away from me to charge toward Kazama. But it was no use. Their difference in power was palpable. Kazama effortlessly swung his sword at the speed of light. As soon as I blinked, I watched a deep, wide gash appear across Father's sunken chest. Eventually, a splash of crimson blood cascaded in the air, like slow motion. Great. Ah! Oh, crap, that hurt my voice. I didn't get the right, and I was like, ah! Straggled, painful cry. That actually hurt me. Father desperately cried in agony, dropping lifelessly to the floor, limp as a stone. Kazama flicked his sword downward to swat the blood sticking to its blade, then sheathed it as if to make a conclusive statement. Wow, he killed him fast. Father! I ran to his corpse, and something peculiar occurred. All of the color left his pale, freezing skin. His flesh began to smolder, similar to the burnt end of an incense, and slowly turned to ash in front of me. As he disintegrated before my eyes, what remained of his body floated away with the breeze inside of the house, leaving behind nothing in its wake. Father. At long last, Father was dead. There was like 2 more chapters. I don't know what we're going to do. The man for whom I'd spent years searching had once again exited my life without a word. Although I had accepted the possibility of his death ages ago, my body felt suddenly light, perhaps feeling his empty weight in my broken heart. Words escaped me entirely. I traced his path, thinking of all the ways things could have fallen apart for him. Okay, reflecting on these hypothetical circumstances just sent me into a defeated slump, and without saying a word, Kazama drew me in closer to his chest. Oh my god. We see that one in the very beginning. I was still like, oh, he's gonna hug us! Kazama... I couldn't bear to look up at him. Whatever Kazama had to say on the matter was an enigma to me, but for now, I took solace in the comfort of his arms. Because I don't think I could have stood by myself if I wanted to. What happened to Kaoru? Did you... What did I want to say? Kill him? The words wouldn't form in my mouth. Haha, okay. I was wondering, I'm like, how are we going to continue this unless Kaoru got away? Yeah. I left a severe injury on him, but he escaped. However, since it was a wound inflicted by my demon slayer, it will take some time to heal. The tone of Kazama's voice gave me the impression that he was trying to put me at ease, but I doubted that Kaoru would completely heal from a wound of that magnitude. However, that he attempted to show me kindness made all the difference in this vulnerable moment. Father truly was a wonderful man. Truly. My heart felt so heavy that I barely noticed the tears sliding down my cheeks. He was a humble, generous man. He cared so much for his patients and always strived to better himself. I was proud to call him my father. For so many years we lived as just the 2 of us, It was peaceful, far from anything like this. The bittersweet memory of my childhood came flooding back to me, which only seemed to exacerbate my flowing tears. I wonder what happened that caused him to change so drastically. If their village hadn't been burned to the ground, then perhaps there would have been some hope of saving the men they used to be. At the end of the day, humans are to blame. There was a resentful undertone lurking underneath Kazama's hushed voice. Kazama was unashamedly proud to be a demon. Eventually, this pride morphed into hatred, a potent discontent for everyone he considered beneath him. For Kazama, I could only imagine how difficult it must have been to murder one of his own kin. It's fine. I understand. Although humans were responsible for the death of my people, which led to them following this path of bitter revenge, Father Ankeoru chose to let it consume them to the point of no return. However, it was easier to talk about than it was to accept. I'm just so heartbroken. I sobbed so hard that my eyes began to burn. Kazama, sensing my pain, gripped me tighter. I know what you mean, though. Some humans are unmistakably evil, but others are okay. Tears dripped into my mouth as I spoke shakily. But there's so many of them who commit their lives to pursuits other than power and money. In my experience, the Shinsengumi weren't concerned with selfish goals in order to live fulfilling lives. I wanted nothing more than to learn of their fate. I must find them, wherever they were. Now that I had lost Father, there weren't many other convictions worth seeing to their end. I believe the fighting will soon cease in Ueno. Even though they're fighting furies, I don't think Shiranui will have much trouble. Perhaps we should come to his aid soon. Indeed. Kazama nodded towards Amagiri before turning to face me once more. Return to the inn. What? I can't just let you two handle this alone. Oh my god, Plastic Girl, stop. Don't flatter yourself. What good do you expect to do? You look dreadful. Also, we're useless, so. Hurry up and return to the inn. Get some rest. Got it. I was deeply concerned with the outcome of the battle in Ueno, but I trusted Kazama to take care of things, and I was comforted by the fact that he was looking out for me. Okay, got it. I did as he told me and returned to the inn. After hours of waiting, Kazama finally returned, slinking into the inn with a reserved expression. Shiranui performed his duty and destroyed all of the fakes. If you sincerely wish to reunite with the Shinsengumi, then prepare your things at once. He spoke curtly, leaving me with that as he exited my bedroom. The next day, I returned to my childhood home on the outskirts of Edo. As I snuck inside, my eyes were drawn to a chest full of Father's belongings, including some of his old clothes and medical tools. I wanted to cry, but there was no time for tears. I grabbed an armful of my belongings and swiftly packed them into my satchel for safekeeping. I was startled by the creak of the front door. As I peeked my head out, I saw... Oh, hi! It took you to the end of chapter 2 to get that sexy fucking outfit? Damn. Have you completed your preparations? I nearly didn't recognize him as he was sporting Western-style clothing that was so foreign to me. I almost forgot he was supposed to get a makeover because I was like waiting for it in the last part. And I was like, "Ooh, he's gonna get a makeover soon," and then I totally like forgot about it. His new uniform clung to the dimensions of his body so nicely that I couldn't help but blush at how fetching he had looked. I know, right? I looked away to keep from staring at him. What's with your face? Do you want a uniform like this or something? Oh, no, that's not why I was staring at your hotness. I mean, your fabulousness. I mean, you're gorgeous. I mean, take me. What? Under normal circumstances, it was unlikely that anyone would ever see clothes like what Kazama had been wearing. I don't need them. Besides, they look a little uncomfortable. Not at all. To tell you the truth, they're easier to maneuver in than a kimono. Perhaps one day I shall have a set made for you. Look forward to it. Oh no, I couldn't. I'm trying to show you kindness. It's a gift. Quit wallowing in your self-pity for once. Oh, people are waiting on us. Let's go. What people? I followed Kazama outside to the front yard, still overrun with weeds, and there stood our Shinsengumi boys. Nope. Oh, Shiranui. So you're the person waiting for us? Although I had clearly addressed him, Shiranui ignored me, making me think I was imagining things. After a moment, he stared at me intensely. Um, did something happen? Yet again, he didn't respond, choosing instead to chew on his lip as he chose his words carefully. Oh, Kondo's dead. You're gonna tell me Harada's dead. Do you remember the Shinsengumi captain named Harada? Yes. Of course. Harada was one of the kindest people I met when I lived with the Shinsengumi. He's dead. It confused me as to why Shiranui would mention him. As I considered the possibilities, it hit me. It felt as though I had been struck with an arrow to the chest, and suddenly it was difficult to breathe. No. No, it can't be. Did something happen to Harada? I tried shooing these thoughts away. I'm thinking myself as something of a cynic, but Shiranui spoke up. You know what the funny thing is? Kondo gave himself up. He's already dead at this point, probably. I think he died before the whole Ueno thing, right? They never brought it up. They never were like, oh yeah, Kondo's dead. Shouldn't we know this? Oh my god. Anyway. Harada passed away. He lost his life battling the Furies in Ueno. What? Even though I had braced myself for the possibility, nothing could soften the blow of the truth. Why would Harada... Because Dr. Masumoto mentioned something about how Harada was no longer marching with the Shinsengumi. I had no idea he was involved in the battle at Ueno. While investigating the movement of Koto's Furies, he and I crossed paths. After briefing him of our situation, he and I struck up something of an alliance. All of a sudden, he began repeating how much he'd wanted to battle beside me. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just bad luck, since everyone I fight alongside ends up dead soon after. Aww. Poor Shirada, wait, don't you feel bad for... Like, he seemed like such a douche, and well, okay, I still liked him, but, like, he was kind of like the dickhole, but, like, he says things like, you're like, oh, do you need a hug? Rubs his arm. It's okay, sweetie. Like, we have to save our hugs for Sanin, but I'll give you a nice pat. Like, although I watched Shiranui's lips moving, my mind instinctively muted everything else he was saying. I tried my best to focus on the image of Harada. There was nothing of worth that I could contribute, so I simply stood there, demoralized and numb. Oh, I knew it! I'm like, they're gonna fucking show Harada, aren't they? She's like, I pictured the image of Harada. Don't do it, game. Don't do it. Game did it. Harada, the epitome of bravery and manliness. Although to others, it seemed like he was rough around the edges, I remembered him more as a gentle, courageous soul. Poor baby. How could someone so beautiful die so young? I know, right? Spacey, that could be said for every single... How could all my precious, precious boys die? They all die. This game hurts so fucking bad. Okay, like, look, this game is great and all, but, like, this one hurts, and I just wish they came out with, like, the fucking fan disc and, like, localized it. Just because they're like, look, once you play Edo Blossoms, your soul is kind of crushed a little bit. It's not as bad as Toa, okay? It'll never be that bad. That is gonna always be, like, the thing that has destroyed me. This is still really fucking depressing, though. And it's like, they're like, here's the fan disc. Yay! Okay, they're alive again, and we can just pretend. Like, can we just please? I'm choking. I went to breathe in and swallow and choking on my own spit. No time for tears. You still want to find them, don't you? Yes. Just as I thought Harada's death was the epilogue to our harrowing journey, it proved, in fact, to be only the beginning to the depressing news that awaited us beyond. Are they gonna, like, end and this is, like, chapter 3? That's so... that's such a cock tease. That's such a dick move, game. That's like me when I ended, I'm like, ha ha ha, cliffhanger, I'm an asshole. The game, it's no shortage to the depressing news. Oh, June, I think, is when he died. So, okay, Kondo's about to die. But I thought Harada died after Kondo. I don't know. I thought Kondo died in May. Or maybe it was June. I don't know. I don't remember. The summer was in full swing by the time we had reached Utsunomiya. Originally, Utsunomiya Castle was considered a stronghold for former shogunate soldiers who were forcibly driven from Edo, but the Imperial Army laid a quick siege to the fortress and usurped control of it without much opposition. So this path is going to be kind of like our independent woman route, where we just follow them and find the path of bodies. That's fucking depressing. By the time we arrived, the castle hadn't recovered from the waves of cannon fire that ravaged its exterior, which told us everything we needed to know. Bad news. I shouldn't wait until later. Kazama, my heart was still reeling from Shiranui's revelation that Harada had died in Ueno. At first, I wasn't sure if I could bear listening to another bit of terrible news, but I had to persevere. Kondo or Okita, because we're expecting those. Please go on. As soon as I answered him, Kazama tilted his head downwards and spoke quietly. Yep. Okay. I was like, Kondo, please, if it's Kondo, it's like, it's still sad, but we knew it was going to happen, so I'm okay with that. Like, I mean, even though we kind of know all of our other boys are going to die, I still keep hoping that maybe one route they won't. Maybe in one they won't, but no, they died in everything. If they died in our independent woman route, they're going to die in everything, so... After offering his terms of surrender, it appears Asami Kondo was tried and beheaded by the Imperial Army. Kondo, a paragon of benevolence and leadership. How tragic that he had been denied an honorable death by way of seppuku, and it broke my heart thinking that he was decapitated like some criminal. And we're going to show... I feel bad for Kazama because his entire path is us being sad about all our friends dying. I mean, if it gets us into your bed, I guess you're not going to complain, but I just feel bad for you because I feel like we're not getting to know you. We're like just, you know, learning about our friends' deaths. For a moment, I remained silent, softly turning these thoughts over in my head as Kazama looked away. And you can decide whether or not you believe it. No, I believe you. When Dr. Masumoto notified me of Kondo's surrender, I considered this to be the worst-case scenario. I buried the thought somewhere, clinging to the thin hope that he would be rescued, or maybe they would show him mercy for his character. But hearing Kazama say it, having it become real through his curt, impersonal words, was a devastating blow at a time when I was reaching my limit. Just wait! So what does it mean for the Shinsengumi now? Kondo proudly served as the Shinsengumi's chief, and without him, I wondered how they would adapt now that they had been put under the microscope. After being humiliated, per usual, at Utsunomiya, I hear they marched toward the Aizu domain to continue fighting. Where does that leave you? His question seemed less interrogative and more interested in my feelings, which I appreciated. However, I figured he was intuitive enough to know that my opinion on the matter was unchanged, and I answered him resolutely. I looked him square in the eye. I'm going to Aizu too. I'm going to wherever the Shinsengumi men are, and then we're gonna find out that fucking, like, you know, Saito is just missing. Is that why we go with Kazama? Because, like, all our friends die and we're like, I guess I got no other choice, so you'll do. Otherwise, I'm going to be single forever. And he's like, you know what? I don't like being your consolation prize, but I guess. All right, sure. Kazama smirked. Ooh, Jesus Christ. Holy Christ. I accidentally, like, was stretching my leg and I put it on my shelf and I pushed the fucking... My toe got too close to, like, the eject button for my fucking Xbox and turned it on and it just scared the crap out of me. No, you turn off. You're not supposed to be on. Turn off! Turn off! Why are you on? Turn off! Why won't it turn off? Now it just won't turn. There it goes. It's like I hit the button 4 times. Turn the fuck off, bitch. Kazama smirked, and together he and I set off on another expedition north to locate the Shinsengumi. En route to Aizu, it caught our notice that many other travelers were wearing Western clothing, and Kazama and I feared my komodo would attract suspicion. And thus I was forced to wear a different disguise, one curated by Kazama in the clothes he had made for me. As I acquainted myself with these new foreign clothes, the summer faded into September 1868. After a long and encompassing journey, Kazama and I set foot in Aizu, gazing at the peripheral view of its vast, deciduous landscape. Tensions boiled under the surface in anticipation of the upcoming battles, particularly in the small settlements and villages surrounding the area of Shirakawa. It was here that we reunited with Amagiri, who was accompanied by members of the Satsuma domain. The Shinsengumi are all wrapped up with fighting around Shirakawa Castle until the end of May, and they held the castle until June, but then everything fell apart. I tried a couple more times to retake the castle, but things didn't quite go as planned. Just as I had foretold. Those idiots wouldn't know strategy if you loaded it into a cannon and fired it at them. Sheer will is useless. After being dealt another crushing wave of defeats, the Aizu soldiers began retreating back to Aizu Castle. Aizu Castle, the preeminent castle in the Aizu domain, also known as the Suruga Castle? To my knowledge, their plan was to fortify the castle and hold it for months on end in the hopes of exhausting the Imperial army into leaving them be. Is that where the Shinsengumi is headed then? One would assume. Although the stakes were dangerous, I was driven by the pipe dream of going to visit them. Aizu was on the verge of collapse. All they got left is Aizu Castle. Alright, what do you want now? For 6 months had passed since I was separated from the Shinsengumi in Kyoto. My search for them led me all over the country, from Osaka, Edo, and now Utsunomiya. By the time I arrived at wherever location I thought they'd be, however, they were already marching to the scene of their next battle. Chasing them was proving to be a useless endeavor, like trying to grasp smoke with your hands, and each time they were narrowly out of reach. Would our reunion actually ever happen? No. Or would each of them succumb to a fate similar to Kondo's or Harada's before I saw them, basically? I was becoming gripped with a mixture of fear and anxiety, which prompted me to speak up. I'd like to head for Aizu Castle. I am unamused by your poor attempt at humor. If you're being serious, and then I'm even less amused. Are you this stupid, or have you been living under a rock while the country runs itself into the ground? Aizu Castle is swarming with Imperial scum, and very, very soon there'll be nothing left of it. I understand, but that's the only lead we have about where the Shinsengumi could be. I've missed them 3 times in a row, and I don't know if I could stomach never seeing them again. I don't know if I'll ever be able to... I helped myself, biting my tongue to keep from contemplating the worst. Kazama's expression, however, was aloof as ever. Let's suppose they are, in fact, at Aizu Castle. What the hell do you expect you're going to do if you make it there? Waltz on in? Any ideas? Well, allow me to illuminate you, naive girl. You'd be killed, and you're an idiot if you think otherwise. But I'm not trying to do anything once I get there. I didn't need Kazama's sharp criticism, nor had I expected to come and rescue the Shinsengumi. I just needed him to understand how I felt. I want to see everyone while I still can. I don't know if I could bear the thought of never seeing them again before something happens to them like Kondo or Harada. What? You're willing to get yourself killed for the mere possibility of seeing them? I'm not going to let them kill me. Mind telling me what you know that I do not? In case you were unaware, Kondo's been executed, and his head is currently on display at Sanjogawara. Pause while I read that. And then there's Harada, who was ripped to shreds at Ueno. No one's patting him on the back for dying like a wounded animal. All they'll ever be is a footnote in the annals of history. Their legacy is being spat on. No, but we have a game about them. I mean, that's something, right? Doesn't everyone aspire to be like the subject of a Romancey Otome game? I mean, I do. Kazama made a lot of sense. If the Imperial army emerged as the definitive victor at the end of this, then the Shinsengumi would likely be written off as a band of rogue delinquents, warping the truth about their heroic service for Kyoto and its people. Hence why we need the Romancey Otome game to tell us that they're awesome, right? There you go. But I will remember. It doesn't matter if people mischaracterize the Shinsengumi from who they really were. I'll honor their memory, and you can make damn sure that I'll never forget it. I could almost hear Kazama gnashing his teeth as he glared at me chillingly. I knew women were whimsied by delusion, but you're sitting at the top of the pile. Thank you. Wait, was that an insult? Because I take that as a compliment. Very well. Do what makes you happy. An awkward tension lingered in the space of our conversation, making me unsure if Kazama was upset or just frustrated by my unwillingness to cooperate. His eyes were like daggers sinking into my forehead. I could barely speak, let alone breathe. All right, you two. Let's simmer down. What's the point in arguing? How unlike you, Kazama. You normally keep your cool around women. Huh. Maybe I'd keep my cool if she wasn't such an idiot. This discussion is pointless. I have other things that require my attention. I'm taking my leave. Kazama's biting tone left me feeling so uncomfortable. He spun around on his heel and walked away from us without another word. I contemplated calling his name to clear the air, but instead I bit my lips, too nervous to take any action. You should go after him. Huh? Kazama's a real sourpuss, but he's not the type of man that would let something frustrate him enough to walk off like that. I wasn't following what Amagiri was trying to convey. Nonetheless, he continued in an admonishing tone. I get you're racing against the clock to see your friends right now, but it's not as though you're in any position to reach Aizu Castle alone. You know that, don't you? Yes. Besides, it's like you said, you have no idea or guarantee that the Shinsengumi men will still be at Aizu Castle by the time we get there. I'll do what I can to investigate their whereabouts for the time being. For now, why don't you speak with Kazama? Amagiri, thank you so much. No need. Simply doing my duty. With that said, Amagiri bowed his head and vanished like mist into the thin air. Okay, perfect place to stop. Don't you read ahead. Don't you read ahead. Don't you do it. Cock blocking you from reading ahead in this path. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.